The NBA playoffs are in full swing, but there are some surprises so far. Whose nickname tickles your fancy? And whose leadership makes you want to start a revolution? It's playoff time here on Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Welcome to Unsportsmanlike Conduct, the show where two teams and four panelists try to go head body on their opponents for the right to be called the heavyweight champion. Today, the UC playoff tournament begins, but first, some unexpected news. A random screening determined that the Green Liners were guilty of using argument enhancers. Therefore, they've been disqualified and will have to wait till next season for a shot at the gold. On the flip side, because of their Chicago Bulls-like success in the regular season, the Purple Panthers have earned themselves a spot in the UC Championship. Today, the other spot will be filled. Our matchup will be the Red Scare and the Blue Steel going head-to-head on a two-episode total point series. The winner will move on to the title round, so let's not waste any more time, and let's meet today's teams. First, we're going to come over here to the Red Scare. Pat, you thought it was your last show last week, but here you are again. How does it feel?
No, it feels great. It's kind of a second chance at life right here. You know, I'm here with my #1 pick, Lily Zhao, and I'm just anxious to get to the championship where we belong.
You mentioned your #1 pick, Lily Zhao. Lily, how do you feel to be playing in the game that could get you into a position to win a championship here on the UC?
Well, Ben, I've never actually played with our captain before.
Wow.
And so I'm very honored, and we're going to win.
All right. The Blue Steel over here. Greg, kind of the commissioner of this UC league. You kind of might feel like this title's yours to win. How are you going to take down the Red Scare?
Well, I already made one step by getting rid of the Green Liners altogether. They're just no longer even in the league. And the Red Scare, you know, I kind of taken some pity on them. They're not that great, I think, at the desk, so we're just going to let them float.
Marcus, now your teammate Marcus Garcia. Marcus, you might have been the biggest sleeper in this season of Unsportsmanlike Conduct. You went very low in the draft, but so far your win percentage has been pretty solid. What have you done to get yourself to this point?
I mean, like I said, the draft, I prepare.
All right, guys, well, we've met our teams. The regular season is over, and the Eastern Conference is smelling like a rose. The Chicago Bulls, led by young star Derrick Rose, are #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. But will the Rose wilt under the pressure of the Heat, or will it be a Clover that takes over? Guys, who's going to go to the finals from the East? We start over here to my left with Greg Baroud. Greg, who's going to the who's going to come out of the East and be the champions of the Eastern Conference?
It's going to be the Chicago Bulls, Los Toros, as we say in Espanol. I know that you personally feel like the Celtics match up pretty well with the Bulls, knowing you the way I do. But I think that the Bulls are just too hot right now, and the Celtics have too many questions for me to confidently say that the Celtics will take the East. I mean, let me talk, Pat. I mean, we just started the show. Chicago, they swept Miami in the regular season. They beat Boston at home twice, and of course, they have home court advantage. The 2 times they lost, the Celtics was on the road. Chicago is one of the best rebounding teams of late, and they have a 19.5 rebounding margin on average in the playoffs so far. The Celtics have struggled on the glass. They're going to be missing Shaq probably for a long time now.
Yeah, so. Shaq's definitely a question. So, Greg, you think the rebounds are going to end up hurting the Celtics in the long run? Pat, you were ready to jump down his throat before I stopped you. What's going on?
I'm glad I waited because he gave me a good segue with the word struggle. Everyone but Derrick Rose on the Bulls have struggled. And what I like the most about the Celtics is one night it can be Ray Allen hitting – Marcus, please. One night it can be Ray Allen hitting the big shot. Next night it can be Kevin Garnett. Next it can be Pierce. It can be Rondo. If Rose doesn't come and play, who's going to do it for the Bulls? And I don't think that question's answered.
All right, Lily, do you agree with Pat here? Do you think the Bulls are just missing, you know, maybe an A2 superstar, or is it just Derrick Rose? What do you think?
Yes. If they are struggling against my Indiana Pacers, they have a problem. They're an 8 seed, have not played a complete game in the first 2, even though they are up. They're yet to put a complete game together. But the team I think will win the Eastern Conference will be the Miami Heat. #3, the trio, they're fantastic. They're great in the top 5 in offensive and defensive efficiency, great off the glass, and Udonis Haslem is back. They're playing great. I think they're going to win.
But before I pass it over to Marcus, the Celtics, I mean, really, we just talked about that the Bulls can't stop a team with only 1 player.
Right.
I mean, the Celtics just can't deal with Carmelo right there, and they're saying that they can't handle Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose is playing better than Carmelo.
Hold on, Greg, hold on.
Now.
Well, the Celtics are up 2-0 in this series, so I'm just trying to understand your point here. You're saying that the Celtics can handle.
I'm saying the Bulls are. I'm saying they can't. Why can't they handle why can the Celtics handle the Bulls when they can barely handle Carmelo? The Bulls are a better team overall. And you said that nobody is also playing on the Bulls. Carlos Boozer just went out for 17 and 16 the other night. I don't get what you're going on about.
All right, hold on. Let's hear Marcus before we get to wrap this topic.
First, I agree with Greg. You know, the Celtics right now, they don't have an answer for Amari Stoudemire. That first game, y'all barely won off of a Kevin Garnett trip. And yes, Ray Allen hit a nice game winner. Last game, you won by like 6 points against a team without Chauncey Billups and without.
All right, Marcus. Really quickly, guys. Marcus, who's your team?
My team is the Bulls right now. You have Derrick Rose averaging 37 points a game.
All right, I'm gonna have to stop you there, guys. We got to wrap this topic. You guys are gonna say the Bulls. You guys say otherwise. I just really don't agree with the fact that the Celtics can't shut down one superstar. They're up 2-0 on the Knicks. You say they can't shut down Carmelo. Well, they've won the first 2 games of that series. Points going to go over here to the Reds scare. Whether it's the Heat, whether it's the Celtics, I don't think that the Bulls, I think they're a little bit too young, a little bit too inexperienced, and you can't argue with the fact that Derrick Rose is their heart and soul of that team. Okay, guys, next topic. Once, twice, 3 times a Kobe. With the way the Los Angeles Lakers have been playing lately, the three-peat will be much harder this year. Will the Lake Show have what it takes to bring home one more title for Phil? Or will it be another veteran team like the Mavs or the Spurs that beats LA? Guys, who will be this season's Western Conference champion? Lily, start us off.
I'm going to go off on a limb. I know the Lakers are fantastic. We'll address that later. But I think the Oklahoma City Thunder will be the champs, and here's why. Kevin Durant, he's been playing fantastic. They haven't been able to shut him down is the thing. They finally got Kendrick Perkins down low. I know they lost 3 times to the Nuggets, but they've with Kendrick Perkins down low, I think they have a fabulous chance to win. Kevin Durant, again, is the X factor. He will bring them to play the Lakers.
Okay, so you think this is finally Oklahoma City?
I think
you guys definitely don't agree.
I don't think the Thunder have the depth to take on some of these teams when they get to the final rounds. I mean, the Lakers are bringing guys off the bench like Odom that are consistently performing, but I don't even think the Lakers are the best team. I think the Spurs are going to take it in this one. I like what Tony Parker is doing. He's playing very well. Tim Duncan is doing well as well. The Lakers are too inconsistent. They gave up 109 points and then 78 points to the Hornets, so I don't think that they are going to take it, and I think it's going to be San Antonio.
All right, Marcus, you're bringing out the photos here.
I'm bringing out the photo. An autographed, Tim Duncan picture. Tim Duncan, very, very impressive, double-double his first game against the Grizzlies. And now the important thing is that Manu's back. When Manu's back with the Spurs, they're practically unbeatable. When Manu's not on the floor, they shoot 39%. On the floor, 55, 88 when he's not there, 106 when he is. This guy makes this team that much better, 18 points, and we've seen it time after time. The Spurs have the big 3 of everyone else, and Lakers right now are struggling. Their bench is very weak. Kobe last night dropped 11 against the Hornets. They're struggling. Gasol had like 10. The Lakers have not been strong. Okay. Yeah, Mavericks do okay against Portland, but the Mavericks always choke. And then the Thunder, you're saying it's right now it's Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. That's good and all. But what happens if, let's say Westbrook has a bad game and Kevin Durant's going to score 40 points, but that's it.
But you could say that about any team, though.
Can you?
First, I would like to comment on the fact that you can't just bring in a picture and say it's a prop. Here's my health insurance card. Here's a prop.
I'm pretty sure
that counts as a prop.
Some of us don't have health insurance.
Right, hold on, Pat.
I'm pretty sure you.
Hold on, Marcus. Listen, I like your prop.
I'm going to say,
Pat, who are you picking?
I'm going to say the Lakers for the same reason I went with the Celtics. When you have a team that there's just too many options to guard, where, like you were saying, what if someone has a bad night? A team like the Lakers, okay, say Bynum has a bad night. You still have Kobe. You still have Paul Gasol. You have too much depth, and their front line of rebounding, I think, is just too strong, and they have the experience. They've been there the last 3 years, and they're going to get there again.
I want to know, you guys have told me who you think, but why not the Spurs? Why won't the Spurs come?
I think injury play and the road they're going to have to take. They do not match well up against, like Lily said, the Oak City Thunder.
Yes,
they're an older team
that
likes to slow the run and gun style the very fast style of the Oak City Thunder. Like Lily said, do they have the legs to keep up with that?
Okay, real quick, guys, before we wrap this topic, Marcus, you're disagreeing. He says they don't match up well. You think they do.
It's not even the Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder match up very well, but your Lakers pick, they don't match up well against the Mavericks at all. The Mavericks have just as much size to throw at the Lakers. If they throw out Bynum and Gasol, they can throw out Hayward, they can throw out Dirk, and then they have guys like
Hayward doesn't read.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this topic.
The
West, guys, that's it. The West was very strong this year. A lot of teams showed that they could peak at points, maybe slumped a little bit, but one team that was very consistent throughout was the San Antonio Spurs. Maybe 1 or 2 skids during the season, but they dominated the most of the regular season. I think they're going to do the same during the playoffs. Points going to come over here to the Blue Steel. Okay, guys, we've busted through the NBA playoff bracket, and now it's time for our teams to bust out their artistic talents. Stay tuned because after the break, it's time for Pick Sictionary. Don't go away.